Good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. And you know what? I made a choice to be here. And you know what? You made a choice to be here. Choices. How big of a role do choices play in your life? The average adult, according to studies, I don't know who did the studies, but say that most adults make up to 35,000 choices a day. 35,000 choices a day. So life is a cascade of choices. It really is. One right after another. And decisions. But what's the difference? So let's look at it this way. Let's assume that we have a nice pond here that's nice and serene. It's beautiful, calm. And you have a flowing river. So decisions are much like the pond. They're static, but they're full of potential. Rivers, on the other hand, are our choices. They're in motion. They're the action. They're the things that carve out valleys, that create landscape, that attract life. That's where everything happens. Choice is where everything happens. So if you want to have good decisions, you want to make your decisions happen, make good choices. And most of us, most of the time, make good choices. Most choices are, would you say, are aspirational. They center around things like health. I decide I want to be healthy. I decide I want to have happiness in my life. I decide I want to build a good business. I decide I want to be, you have all of these decisions that you make, and then it's the choices that see whether or not they happen. Think of yourself in a boat out in the middle of the ocean. And you have no idea where you're going, you're just drifting, and all of a sudden you see a strip of land. You've been out there forever, and here's this land. What do? Boy, you get all excited. You turn the boat around, you face it, you start rowing. Because why? Because you see something out there. And when you see something out there, if you're so committed to it, you can't let the porpoises distract you. You can't let them distract you, because if you get distracted with distractions, that's a choice. And that choice moves you away from the direction of where you're going. If you get into a frame of mind that's ungrateful, why am I out here on this water? Why am I out here in the middle of nowhere? This is always happening to me. You're not going to be able to see the land probably to begin with, and then you're just going to be so grumbly that you're not going to be able to move. And so if you move out of gratitude, you're not going to have the energy or the desire or the ability to avoid. You'll see something that gets you excited like porpoises, and off you'll go. And the third thing is that you want to be able to adjust and reflect. So when I see porpoises or I see distractions, I want to be able to say, why would I follow that? Rather than when it's over with, why did I follow that? And then the third thing is you can seek wisdom. And even if you're in the middle of an ocean by yourself, you have prayer. But you also have, in life, you have a lot of people that have been down the road before. And so questions. Instead of saying I need to, I have to, I got to, which puts you into scarcity, turn it around into a question. That'll help you make better choices. And then the fourth thing is action over perfection. Perfection is elusive. Prioritize action. Remember, it's the flow of choices that moves us forward. Be the river, not the pond. All right, let's take those 5 things and relate them maybe to our kids. There's so many different applications for them. So to reinforce those, number 1, know where you're going. Have that vision. With kids, to help them, you want to eliminate the options or the choices. They don't want to have to choose this piece of land, that piece of land. They've got to learn how to not get decision fatigue. So don't bombard them with 50 million toys. Give them a few toys. Help them be able to make choices amongst few things so they know how to make a choice. Do you want to play with this toy or this toy? It helps them become choice makers. Gratitude. Play catch with them. I have a good friend of mine, and he plays catch with his son. You know how he plays catch? They call it play catch. Hey, Dad, time to play catch. During the day, he catches something that he's positive or grateful for and throws it to his dad at night. And his dad catches it and throws something he's grateful for back to him. What a wonderful way to keep your children learning what it means to be in gratitude. And the choice, is this something that I want to share or not share? They start to learn how to see what gratitude is. Adjust, review, and reflect. That why. Why would I do that? Decide ahead of time. Think about the consequences before you make the choice. You don't want that, why did I do that? You want to do, why would I do that? That keeps you on track. Same thing with your kids. Maybe you could do do-overs. Do-overs is kind of a fun thing with kids. You know, you did this, you know, you got in a fight with somebody. If you had the opportunity to do over that again, what could you do differently that might keep you from getting into that fight? Or instead of saying, I need to go get this, or I need to have this, or I need to have that, the wisdom is create a question around that that'll help you understand why you think that you need to have it. So instead of saying, I need to, create, what can I do today? Or why would I need something? Or where can I go today? Okay. The fourth thing is action over perfection. Teaching a child to ride a bike. You can't give them a book. You got to put them on there, and you got to be in motion. Remember, it's the flow and the choices that move us forward. So know where you're going, be thankful, adjust and review, seek wisdom, and action over perfection. You know, I love the concept of choices. Let's cherish the power of choice. Decisions might set the direction, but it's our choices that shape everything, the narrative of our lives. So as we face all of the options, all of the choices that we have, remember the river. Be dynamic, be persistent, and flow with purpose. Have a meaningful week. Let's make great choices this week. We'll talk next week. Choose to be here next week. Talk to you next week. Bye-bye.